Hello and welcome to the Blackout Podcast, where I get to talk to amazing people who do amazing things. And today, I'm glad this is finally happening now.
Yes.
I have Lumen. So like you run a circus. You do fire eating, you do flow, and then you also like a mortician.
Yes.
Oh my God, you have all this. Anyway, thanks for coming to the podcast
Of course,
today.
no worries.
So I don't know where. Let's start with the one that's just like so. As human beings, because death is so final.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with that one. Why would anybody decide to be a mortician? But why would you specifically?
I get this question a lot. Even I just like the other day posted about something, and basically for me, it's after death care. Like a lot of people get very awkward and they get very like freaked out over death. And for me, it's just like giving people the time to grieve and helping families through that grievance, and like giving the bodies the respect that they deserve, giving someone's loved one the respect that they deserve, and giving them the after death care.
What made you decide to go down that path?
Kind of a sad story. My brother died in 2016, and I had another younger brother die when I was about 5 or 6. And it just like my second brother, I was a little bit older, obviously. It happened about 6 years ago, but his funeral was really good for my healing process. Like we had his like snowboards there. We had all of it. Like he was a snowboarder, he was a BMXer, like everything he did, he loved life and he lived life to the fullest. And I get a lot of my traits from him, I guess. But yeah, just like going through that, and now I'm able to help people through what I went through.
Wow. Okay, so 2016, when did you decide to?
I've decided to basically 2016. Yeah.
Oh, right away.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
so
yeah.
like, did you start doing it or?
No, so I actually just went to so I applied last year. I just did my 40 hours. So to be a funeral director, you have to do a 40-hour apprenticeship through a funeral home. And I just did my 40 hours back in March. And the other day, they actually offered me a full-time position. So I start there August 7th as a full-time embalmer.
Okay, let's rewind a little bit. So funeral director, what does that entail? And what did you have to do for those 40 hours?
So basically, as a funeral director, I will be directing the funerals. I'll be meeting with families. I'll be guiding them through the funeral process. I will be preparing their loved one after we talk about the funeral process. And in my 40 hours, I was actually very lucky. I got in with Arbor Memorial in Dartmouth, and they're a very, very busy funeral home. And basically my first day, I know. Basically my first day, I was back with the loved ones, and I was helping prepare the bodies, and I helped embalm a couple loved ones, and I met with a couple families, and that's what I'll be doing as my career.
So what was the typical meeting like? So someone comes and says, okay, X is dead. What happens?
So basically what happens, your loved one passes away. You come in, you meet with us. There's actually a very big like room that you meet in. It's very like calming, and you basically kind of go through the funeral process with them. So they can choose what casket they want. They can choose if they want to be embalmed or cremated. They can choose nothing. They can even choose if they don't want them to be embalmed, then you can just do like a closed casket. So basically meeting with them to get the process of how they want their loved one to be moved on.
So are there like legal things you need to know?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. So basically with that process, it's you have to have the immediate next of kin. And you can even, with people's loved ones, a lot of the time when they are older people as well, they will have something in place that they already want done. So like I can't really specify too much with certain people that I've met with, but like I had a funeral one of my last days, and they actually got a bear, and they put their loved one's ashes in the bear, and then the bear came with them to, like, they can rent limos for like their funeral, and the bear actually came in the limo with the family, and then they had the bear at the funeral, and the bear was kind of like the main focus. Even though their loved one was passed on, it was almost like in the bear still.
The person was still there. Wow.
Yeah.
And so like, oh, that's the other thing here. You have like what, 6, 7, however long winter is,
Yeah.
you can do nothing then. Well, at least
Yeah.
burying people.
So you actually, and when you embalm someone, they can be embalmed and live in the prep room for up to 10 years. Like they can be
Without smelling?
yeah, without their body. Like, so when you get embalmed,
Do you have to like refill stuff or once it's done,
once it's done, it's done. Basically, the embalming process, when someone comes in the prep room, you basically you take a lotion, you put it on their body so it stops them from drying up. And then once they're on this prep table, you cover them, you give them a dignity cloth, so you cover them up to make sure they have the dignity after death. And basically you take their blood out. I know this is kind of like deep, but you take their blood out, you drain it out, and then you put embalming fluid back in. So it's actually kind of a beautiful to like see, but they look like the same person. Like I've seen people come in that obviously were passed on for a while, and once you put that embalming fluid back in, they look like they are still like from just passing on. Like, so yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff.
Wow. How long does that process take?
The embalming process, it all depends how good you are. There's a girl that works at the funeral home I'll be working at, and she just started 2 years ago, and she's so quick. Like one of my first days, like working with the bodies with her, she was able to prep a body and prepare the loved one in like maybe 2 hours. Because if someone...
Is it like straight? Do you take a break or?
She didn't. She was just on it. She was just going, yeah, because she was all like teaching us too. So yeah, so she did everything, and like there was someone that obviously I can't say too much about what I've seen, but there was someone that was autopsied, and there's a different process that goes along with that. So you basically have their organs in a bag, and you put it in a fluid that hardens it, and then you put it back inside them, and they get buried with their organs back inside them.
So if the thing keeps the person kind of like that for 10 years, does it mean if they're now put in the ground, if you open it up, they'll still look like that in 10 years?
They will look like that in 10 years. There's actually...
What?
Yeah, they will. They'll look like that in 10 years. Yeah, it's crazy to see. Like I saw someone that was in the room because their family was from away, and they looked the same. They look like the same person. Like, yeah.
Like even if they're in the ground and like... Wow. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so I mean, now that you're studying full time, what would that entail?
So it's going to be a lot of a workload for me, because originally I was just going to be studying for the 2 years, but I was offered a full-time job with them. So I'll be working there 40 hours a week, and then I'll be also doing my schooling on top of that. So it's going to be full workload for me, because
schooling.
I go to the NSCC for the school. So it's
what is the course?
It's called Funeral and Allied Services.
Allied?
Allied, yeah. So it's like allied health services.
What are some things will you learn in this course?
So I'll be learning the embalming. I'll be learning like the anatomy of the body, because obviously whenever you, when you embalm someone, you have to know where the arteries are. You can't like stick something in like the wrong artery, or like, because you don't want them to bleed. Because when someone passes away, people think rigor mortis stays forever, but rigor mortis only stays for the first, I think it's, like I said, I haven't gone to school yet, but it only stays for the first, I think it's 10 hours. And then after that, their body is like kind of like how limp how we would be. So you have to make sure you stick it in the right artery. You have to like put it in the right spot. And sometimes with people, if they pass away, just say they pass away in water, or they pass away and things like that, your body will kind of like bloat a little bit. So you need to make sure you're putting it in the right artery to make sure that they don't bleed out completely, because you want it to do it on the table, and you want it to have it like in that process.
How do you handle the smell though? Because before that happens, right? Before you do the embalming.
It's almost like you have to train yourself. I actually it was a little bit of a shock. Like my first, because like with your 40 hours, they throw you in because they want to make sure within your 40 hours that you're ready for this. Like, I know not everyone can do this job. I know it's a little bit of a different one, but honestly, like the formaldehyde is a weird smell, but like the actual bodies themselves don't really have like, it's kind of a weird smell. And then you have to like even your clothes, when you go home, you have to like make sure you change your clothes. You have to make sure you kind of like take everything off before you go in the house, or else you'll bring that smell in with you.
Whoa. Oh, man.
Yeah.
And this is what you want to do.
This is what I want to do.
So this is really because you lost a brother and that experience for you.
And I just find like for me, it's just like I know death is weird for people. Death is awkward. Death is weird. And I find for myself, I've dealt with a lot of death in my life. I've had 4 people that I knew pass away in my grade 12 year from suicide. I had a younger brother that passed away when I was about 5 or 6. And then my brother that just passed away in 2016. So I've kind of been around it. And not that I'm like, I'm immune to it. Like obviously I still grieve and I still get sad, but I feel like for me, I'm able to talk about it in a better light. Like even when I bring up my brother, like Brandon, I don't really cry about it. Like it's almost like he was awesome. He was great. Like, because every day for him was like, go get him. Like he BMX'd every day. He snowboarded every day. So it's like, for me, it's almost like preserving that life for someone and preserving them after death. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So one of the things, these days about climate change, one of the things is now people are doing these like burials that's like climate friendly. Do you know about this?
Do you mean like when they put the bodies in like a tree?
Yeah. Or,
I think that's to do. I haven't learned that quite yet, but I think what they do is they probably. Oh, you mean the pods? And they bury them inside the pods, right?
And it's supposed to be like
it's like a compost. Like Yes, I actually saw that recently on a video of them doing that. Yeah. So I think it's almost like decomposition, because like they call it when someone passes away, they call it decomp. Basically, because like they're decomposing. So I think that what they do is they put them in the pods, and then they're basically not that they would put compost on them, but I think they put in materials that will make them compost.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
and then but okay, so that's one part, but now that you're now studying the thing, when will you be like done?
2 years. It's a 2-year course. So basically after the actual schooling is 2 years. So once my 2 years is up, I have a contract with the Arbor, because they're paying for my school, which is like, good on me.
Cool.
I know.
So that means they're really good.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're amazing. Arbor Memorial is absolutely amazing. Though even the way they respect the bodies in the prep room, like they're very respectful, and that's what made me gravitate towards them. Like when your loved one goes into Arbor Memorial, I feel like it's like promoting it. I'm like, Arbor Memorial. But like I feel like when the body, since I've seen it, they have respect for your loved one. Your loved one goes in there. They're giving them the dignity cloth, and like they treat their bodies very nicely and kindly. They're not just like throwing them around. They're like bringing them back. And it's kind of funny. One of my colleagues, Richard, actually like talks to them. Like he's like, all right, Kathy, your friend's coming. You have your new roommate today. So like, I feel like with that kind of work, you almost have to make light of the situation and laugh together to kind of like get through it. Cause obviously it's a heavy thing. I know I'm going to have days where it's going to be heavy, and days where I'm going to leave there and it's going to bother me, but I have to like just know why I'm doing it and like what the process is.
So do they always dress that good? Or it's only during the funeral, like in suits and everything?
So they do wear that all the time. Like, yeah, they wear them all the time. Like Richard and my colleagues, Mark, like when I go in there, they're always wearing suits.
Oh my God.
Even Richard's in the prep room, like preparing your loved one in a suit. Yeah. He takes off his jacket, and then everything's very sterilized. And like in the prep room, it's very clean back there. Like everything's sterilized, everything's clean. Like, and yeah, so yeah, they're always looking spick and span. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have that life, but then you have this other life.
Yeah.
So how did you get into all these weird things you do with fire?
So back to my brother again. It's really funny. In 2016, my brother passed away, and I met a guy named Josh at a festival, and his father passed away in a very traumatic helicopter accident. And he did fire, and I watched him do fire, and I was like, I want to do fire.
When you say he did fire, what do you mean?
He was a fire performer, fire spinner.
Okay.
And that was in 2016. And he was grieving. I was grieving. He's like, you want to move to BC with me? And I was like, sure. I literally went home and packed up all my stuff and moved with him a week later to BC and just started fire spinning through there.
That's insane. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to BC.
Yeah.
What does the fire spinning entail?
So I'm a professional fire spinner. So I eat fire, I breathe fire, I hula hoop fire.
Wait, what's the difference between eating and breathing?
So breathing fire is when you put lamp fuel in your mouth. It's a different like material. So it's a lamp oil, and you put it in your mouth, and you're breathing it. So you're basically taking the torch, which I have right there, and you're basically taking it and you're breathing it, so it makes a huge flame. But with fire eating, I'm taking the actual fire torch and I'm putting it in my mouth and I'm eating it. And I can do like candles, I can do like things like that. I can do fleshing, so I take the torch and I flesh it up my arm without it burning and things like that.
What do you mean by without it burning? It is firing your skin.
Yeah, I don't get burnt. It's the way. It's all in science. It's the way you do it. It's science. Yeah.
Even so, it doesn't hurt when you swallow.
No, I don't feel it. You have to do, because I was taught by a professional. I was taught by Joseph Kerr, who's the world record holder in Las Vegas. So for myself, I can teach fire hoop, I can teach other things, but I would never teach fire eating to somebody because it's very dangerous. Like if I ate it the wrong way, or if it went down my esophagus, which is kind of funny. It kind of circles back to my career as a mortician. So I'm kind of doing a first full circle moment.
So, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, how long were you in BC for? And
I was in BC for about 3 months. Yeah.
Oh,
And then
okay.
I moved back home. And then I moved back to Truro, Nova Scotia, which is my home. And then I moved to Halifax about probably 7 years ago now.
And did you like start your business right away?
My Lumen Lux Productions.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually just started Lumen Lux Productions this year.
Huh.
Yeah.
And what were you doing in those years since?
I've been doing I've just been a professional performer. So I just been
like with other productions.
So I do burlesque. I do flow. So
wait, burlesque. Oh yeah, dress it to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I do burlesque, I do flow. I work with Serpentine Studios. I also work with Luminosity Circus. So in that span, I was working with other production companies. And then I was like, I want to start my own. So I started my own.
What was the reason?
That I wanted to start my own? Because I wanted to be able to make my own rules. And I find for myself, I like to see, because with burlesque, it's a very intimate thing. And I was kind of tired of seeing the same bodies, same races, same type of people on stage. And I wanted to make a production company that's inclusive to everybody. So a big part of my shows is I want different body types, different races. I want to see different genders on my stage. So that's basically what Lumen Lux Productions is about.
Okay, so you're like, I'm tired of seeing all these skinny white girls. And what was the process of setting up your own production?
So basically, I do drag and burlesque shows. So that's basically what Lumen Lux Productions is. And I emailed Indulge Nightclub, who does drag shows there. And I was like, I want to make a show here. And I did. And my first show sold out. And my second show sold out. So my first show was called Love of Lights. It was just a variety drag and burlesque show. My second show was a halfway to Halloween show. Both of them sold out. And then my third show was a circus show that I just did at this Seahorse Tavern, which was amazing. The cast was amazing. It was actually probably my favorite show I've ever done. And I actually have another show coming up on September 24th.
What was it planned?
It's called Cult Class. Oh, no, I did Planet Pride. Yeah, you're right. So I'm forgetting all my shows here. I do a lot, okay?
Right.
Yeah. But,
and you still have time to prepare people to get back.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then I have another show coming up September 24th called Cult Classics.
What is that one gonna be?
So it's basically like a movie show. So it's Fear and Loathing, Pulp Fiction, Jennifer's Body. So it's all the cult classics as stage acts. Okay,
so let's rewind.
Yeah.
Now, okay, you start your production, you're like, I want to do this. Yeah. What is the process of setting up a show?
I do casting calls. So I will call out on Facebook or Instagram, be like, this is, because I've been performing for 7 years. So I'm like, this is what I'm looking for my show. And then I will get emails. So for my last show, I actually got about 50 emails for my Cult Classic show. And I will go through the submissions and I will pick pick the submissions I want, and then I'll send out rejection email. I don't say rejection as in like I reject you, but emails as in like maybe next time apply again. And then I'm actually doing my next one with the Seahorse. So I email the Seahorse. So Kyle McCracken actually runs the admissions for Seahorse there, and I'm email Kyle, and then now I'm doing the show there. So basically, that's just how it works. You kind of like have to email back and forth with different places.
Okay, so now how do you decide the people that are going to be in your cast and the people that don't make the cut?
A lot to do with, I liked a lot of detail in submissions. I like you to tell me your costume ideas. I like you to tell me how you want to start your act. I like the music, and like a lot of my stuff, I like it to be kind of different from what people have seen before. So, yeah.
Okay, so you narrow it down, then what?
Then I send them an email. I said, hey, I want you in my show. And then I make a group chat on Instagram with all the performers. And then I actually get my posters made up by someone named Queera Bang. They make all my posters.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a drag queen. Yeah, they make all my posters. And I actually get templates made up for each performer. So the template will say cult classics, then the performer name, and then it'll have like a performer bio. And then every time I promote one of the performers, it will have like their little bio underneath. And then I'll have my ticket link in my bio for people to buy tickets for the show. Yeah.
How do you price your tickets?
I do my tickets. I really want my tickets to be fair because I know with this day and age, everyone's broke. We're all broke. We all have no money. Even as a full-time performer, full-time worker, we're all broke. So I usually like to keep it at $18. A lot of the shows are like $20, $25. So I'm like, if I keep it around 18, I think that's fair for everybody. So I do $18 beforehand, and then I do $25 at the door. So get your tickets just beforehand. Because, yeah, way better to get it beforehand.
Okay. So do you need to see the artist before the show, or?
A lot of the performers I do know. Like I've been in the industry in Halifax now for 7 years. So a lot of these performers that apply, I do know. I actually had a lot of new performers that I never knew before apply. So honestly, like I'm looking for anybody. It's not just people that performed before or people that I know. Like, I'm looking for an array of different talents. Yeah.
Okay. So you kind of let them do their things. Are you ever going to do a show where it's like you plan everything from beginning to end?
So actually I have a friend, a really good friend's named Atlantic Burlesque. They are an amazing production company, and they plan the most intricate shows I've ever seen. Like they write scripts, they write everything from beginning to end. And I kind of want to do one sometime. And like I was talking to my friend Oliver Twisted, who does a lot of they're one of the co-producers of Atlantic Burlesque, and I was talking about how I maybe want to team up with them someday because that would be a lot to do on my own. Like they're a group of about 10 of them that I'll do it together. And I think on my own it might be a little difficult, but if I teamed up with another production company, I think that would be really doable. So Atlantic Burlesque, look out.
Okay, so you do the burlesque, the fire and stuff. Is there, if you had to pick only one, which one would it be?
Wow. Oh man, that's a really hard one because I actually mix burlesque and fire together. So I just
wait.
Yeah, I do burlesque and fire together. Yeah.
That's okay. Well, yeah, you're really good at what, because I'm like, are you not gonna get burnt?
No. So I actually I'm performing at Future Forest next weekend, and I'm doing to one of the headliners, 100 Drum. I'm doing fire eating burlesque. Is what my thing is. And I just got booked in Montreal, and I'm doing fire eating burlesque at the Wiggle Room in November. And that's a sneak peek because no one else knows that.
Okay. So how do you practice?
Basically, to do fire, you need to have a fire safety with you. You never should do fire really by yourself. So my friend Lauren Sweeney, who you actually had on the show, Pendragon Flow Arts, they are my fire safety. So we'll practice together, and they're actually doing my fire tech for my shows.
What does the fire safety have to do?
So basically they have a fire blanket, and then they have a fire blanket and a fire extinguisher, and they will stand beside, and they just say, because like fire's unpredictable. You get danger pay because you get paid a lot to do fire. And basically just say I lit my lip on fire, or I lit part of my skin or my hair. They would take the fire blanket and they would come up to me, not push it up on me because that creates oxygen, but they would take the blanket and they would put it over and they would pull down because that would pull the fire down off me instead of like pushing it up towards me. And
So there's like a whole training for that.
Yeah. So I actually taught Lauren how to do fire safety, but Lauren's been in the industry for a long time, and like I've been teaching them all kinds of stuff to do with like fire, because they actually want to learn fire themselves eventually.
Okay. And I guess now you have your own production company and stuff, and all these things you do, how do you balance your time?
It's called ADHD.
This thing.
Yeah, literally, I just kind of like, I'm like a Rolodex of things I have to do. Right. So even today, this morning, I'm coming to do your podcast with you, and I'm performing tonight with Serpentine Studios for a wedding. So basically, I prioritize when I'm starting out I'm a very busy person. When I start out my week, I kind of like put everything, this is what I'm doing this day, this is what I'm doing that day, and I just make sure I prioritize my very important things in my life, because I treat myself professionally. I do myself in a professional manner, and my performing means the world to me, and I go to shows in a professional performing way. So I always make sure that I'm prioritizing that.
Okay, so I mean, I'm gonna let you go because you have a busy day. But before you go though, I think I have the answer myself, but I'm just gonna ask anyway.
Yeah.
Why do you, I guess, love doing all these things you do?
I've always been a performer growing up. I was actually a competitive cheerleader for 10 years. Like I competed in like Massachusetts, Florida, and like I've always like been one of those kids that are like, look at me. And now I'm like doing it on stage. Like any performer that says that they don't love attention is lying. They are lying. And I just love what I do. I love creating new acts. I love being able to present myself and express my emotions on stage. I feel like whenever I make a new act or do something new, it's an expression of how I feel on the inside. So I just feel like I'm getting to be on stage and everyone gets to see how I feel on the inside. But on the outside, smacking my mic. But yeah, they just get to see how I feel on the inside, and I'm expressing it on the outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
I said that was the last time, but I can't let you go without at least seeing the fire thing.
Yeah. You want to do a little bit of fire?
That. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right.